So let's talk about how we could be on the verge of the biggest crash in history here in the United States. Because what experts are predicting is they're saying that stocks are going to be hit first. Well, they already have. It's not a prediction, this is actually what's going on. Then housing is going to be impacted. This is almost a guaranteed certainty with how high interest rates are expected to go. But on top of that, there's other issues because people don't want to sell their homes because then where do they move and how are they going to afford a higher payment? A lot of issues. Then experts are predicting after stocks are hit, after housing is hit, then businesses are going to start to go under. But we already are seeing employees are losing their jobs. This isn't something that's going to happen. It's already started. Then they say job seekers will find it very difficult to get a new job because guess what? Businesses are not going to want to hire somebody when they are uncertain of their own future. They aren't worried about growth. They just want to make sure they can make it through this downturn. And then experts say eventually everything else in the economy is going to take a hit. That's the good news is there's steps. But the bad news is we are eventually going to get to all those steps. Now, obviously this is very bad. And experts say that this will get very bad before it gets any better. Now, honestly, I do expect things to get better eventually. I don't know when, but I understand it will not come without pain first. Pain is going to happen. So expect that. Save. Stock up. Be prepared. Now, here's the pain that's happening right now. Businesses are actually earning less money than they have been in the past. So what they are doing is they're beginning to lay off employees because one of the first things that a business would do in order to reduce their expenses and look more profitable is first they reduce their expenses, and the biggest expense that most businesses have is their employees. So they lay off a certain percentage. Now, this is part of the reason why the stock market is selling off as well. Because as people lose their jobs or they're just trying to conserve cash, one of the things that they do is, and again, when you see prices rising, people, regular people like you and I will cash out of some of our investments in order to save a little bit of it and just survive and live off of it. Now, this is why I've been saying this for 2 years, at least a year, is to stockpile cash. I've been telling you this to stockpile cash for at least the last year. Guaranteed the last 6 months. Is to stockpile cash because there's going to be a crash that comes. And everyone said, no, there's not going to be a crash. There's too much money. No, there is a crash. We are seeing it right now. As people lose money in the stock market or their 401ks or in real estate, they stop spending money. Okay? Do whatever you can right now to save more money. Add to an emergency fund or at least create one. Get a second job if you can. Take on a side hustle. Accept more hours at your regular job. These are all things that you can do, and honestly, whatever you can do to make more money and cut costs at the same time, this will put more money into your emergency fund. This is something that I highly recommend. Now, one of the things that I've done recently, okay, and when I say recently, I'm talking about over the past 6 months, is I'm putting almost all my money back into my businesses. I'm doing this because I'm betting on myself. I'm not betting on the U.S. economy. I'm not betting on, China. Okay? I'm not betting on any of that. I'm betting on myself and all my businesses. That's what I'm doing. Okay? But just to give you an idea of what other people are doing. So I just said what I'm doing. Putting the majority of my money back into my businesses so that they can make more money. That's what I'm doing. Then I'm taking a lot of that money and I'm investing some. I'm buying these dips. And I'm going to continue to buy, but I'm not buying heavy. Honestly, I'm not buying heavy because I'm still up on a lot of things I purchased because I've held on to it for so long. Okay. But at the same time, I did rebuy back into, Tesla and other stocks like that, in certain portfolios, and that's fine. I'm down, but in 2 to 3 years when Tesla is, $1,500 or $2,000, I'm not really going to care. I'm still going to make money. But here's what people are doing. According to CNBC, they say that 1/3 of adults are putting less money into their emergency funds because they have to use that money to pay for food, gas, and other higher expenses. So one of the things that people are doing is, and this is something that I've always advocated for, is to pay yourself first. And it doesn't mean take money out and just hoard it. It means take your money, let's say you make $3,000 in the month. Let's say you take 10%, you take $300. And as soon as you get your check, you take 10% of that and you put it into an investment. That's paying yourself first. Now, that's not what people are doing. They're saving less money because of these higher expenses. But here's what the scary part is. This is what's scary about what's going on right now, is that the US is relying on China to do a lot of things. For instance, let's say a mechanic needs a new part to fix a car, and that mechanic cannot get paid until that car is fixed. Well, what do? They order a part for the car. They can fix it. Well, China produces a lot of parts to fix, cars, machinery, right? Things we use on a daily basis. Well, here's the issue with that. If China, who is currently pretty much locked down, is not able to produce these parts, that means us here in the United States are going to be waiting for them to get their job done. Now, we also rely on China for many other goods as well, not just machine parts, right? We rely on a lot of stuff from China, even small and larger businesses. They are staying open because of China. Let me give you an example. Walmart stated a couple years ago that 70 to 80% of all their products, excluding food, comes from China. 70 to 80%. That's massive. And with China's zero COVID policy, things are not looking like they're going to get any better anytime soon. When almost 330 million people are being affected by the lockdowns in China, things are only going to get worse for the countries that are relying on China for these products. Again, how do we keep people employed if we cannot sell products because we cannot get those products because guess what? China's locked down. Shipping is pretty much at a standstill. That's a huge issue. But here's what's really going on. Stocks are being hammered. There's nothing good coming from the stock market right now. Yeah, we were kind of at a flat day today. Things were looking better than just losing money. That's great. But at the same time, stocks are being hammered. And when stocks are being hammered, people will pull their money out eventually. Now, the retail traders like you and I, we're the last ones that kind of have our money in the stock market. And this is one of the reasons why it's kind of just dropping, because as it drops a little bit, more people take their money out. And it just accelerates. And it just keeps going down. We also know housing is being hurt due to people not wanting to sell their houses. But think about this. You have a house. Let's say you bought it at $200,000. It's now worth $500,000. Great. You could make, well, I'm just going to say $300,000. Obviously, you got seller fees and everything in between. So let's say you can make $300,000 off your house. Great. Now, you can then take that money and go and buy a new house, which is obviously overpriced. But not only is that overpriced, but now you're trying to buy a house with new rates, okay, at 5%. You got a new rate at over 5% when your last interest rate was probably in the 3s. So it's not great news there. You're going to pay more. And then on top of all that, you have to go and try and negotiate, and then you got to wait to find something that you really want. And people aren't selling stuff because, again, why would they sell their house to go find a new place to live? That's going to be very difficult because there's not a lot of inventory. Then on top of that, the rates are higher, right? Why would somebody do that? So what's going on is a lot of people are just waiting. They're just waiting. And by waiting, what does that do? That hurts housing. We aren't seeing new inventory. There's still, prices are going up. In many cases across the United States, prices are still going up. People can't afford the prices that we were seeing last year, even the year before. So they definitely can't afford them this year. So that's hurting. We also know employees are already losing their jobs. Or, and this is actually a good thing, is people are getting reduced hours. I would rather see I get less hours than I lose my entire job. That's kind of a given. But at the same time, if you lose your job, you can try to go find a new one, which pays you maybe the same or maybe more. But when you get reduced hours, in most cases, you can't go and get a new job because you don't have the time. So guess what? You have less spending power. Again, things aren't great right now. This is a major crisis. And like I just said, if you want to go find a new job, finding a job when millions of businesses are not hiring at this point because they don't know what's about to happen, they don't know the struggles that they could potentially go through, that's going to be tough. Honestly, don't see a lot of people hiring, especially if we do go into a recession. I just don't see it. I see a lot more people struggling. Again, this is why experts are predicting this could be the biggest crash ever, because it's not just the stock market, it's not just housing, it is everything will just come crashing down. And again, if you put all these things, all these issues together, then you throw in the high gas prices so people can't go anywhere. Then you throw in food and the shortages that we're seeing there. Big issues. So that's what people are expecting, is we are just going to crash eventually. Now, this is very bad. This is not something that I want to happen, but what I want to make sure you guys understand is this is something that we can prepare for. Buy food, save money, just be prepared. All right? So that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday and have an incredible weekend as well. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.